ourselves sitting on our mat for a moment. I woke up this morning and had a great sense of sadness for some reason. So I'm being drawn to have this theme for the class today to be about releasing sadness. So we're going to start in a child's pose. I always find that's a really good pose to get into. So having yourself child's pose, you can have your knees a little bit wider apart if that feels good. And you want to have your hips close to your heels. And then just stretching your arms out, letting your head hang down. If your head doesn't reach the ground, you can always stack your fists and then let your forehead rest on your fists. And taking some time here to reflect, taking some time to maybe review where you might be holding some grief or sadness. There's been so many shifts and changes over the last few months. Losses of how we used to do things, maybe losses of loved ones. Taking some time to notice where those feelings might be for you, where that sadness might be held. Maybe it's not sadness you're feeling today, but maybe it's frustration or anger. So those two have the root of sadness in them. Taking a few moments, just breathing all the way down your back. And as you exhale, let it go. Feeling the beautiful support of the mat, feeling the support of Mother Earth, the loving embrace. Sometimes the sadness that you feel is not your own. We're going through a huge collective sadness during this time. Just recognizing it might not be your sadness, it might be everyone's sadness, as we are all one. And then from here, let's slowly bring ourselves back up, getting the knees back underneath the hips. And we're going to come into a sinking heart here. So reaching your arms forward, letting your head sink down. Your tailbone is up towards the ceiling. Letting your heart melt down towards the floor. If your shoulders are a little bit tender, you can take your elbows a little further apart, making sure that it works for you, always listening to your body. Continue with your breath. With each exhalation, just allowing your chest to sink a little bit deeper towards Mother Earth. Allowing any shells on the back of your heart to crack open. Taking one more breath here. And then very gently bringing yourself all the way down onto your belly, coming into a little cobra here. So elbows are underneath your shoulders, making sure your lower back feels okay. You don't want any sharp pains here. And we're just going to slowly take our head over to the right, looking over that right shoulder. And then bringing it back to center. And then slowly over to the other side. Back to center. And back over to the other side. And back again. And once more over to the other side. And then dropping your nose down. Let's make a nice big circle. See how your neck feels. Sending some love into your neck. Maybe you're frustrated or angry over anything you might have said or anything you might not have said. Any suppressed communication. Just making nice circles with your neck, releasing any stagnant energy in your throat. And then coming back to center, we'll slowly lower back down, bringing your hands underneath your shoulders. We're going to come back up into a table position, rounding your back nice and tall up towards the ceiling, getting a nice big black cat shape. And then coming back to a neutral spine. Let's curl the toes. We're going to come into downward facing dog. So gently pumping one heel out at a time, taking your time, going nice and slow and mindful. So when we're in a upside down position, like in downward dog, it helps to change your mood. So bringing both heels down, maybe shaking your head yes and no. Hips rising up towards the ceiling, belly button pulling in. Taking a nice big breath. And then slowly taking a walk up to the top of the mat. Maybe bend your knees here, hanging out over your hips. And maybe even swaying from side to side. And then coming back to center, coming back to stillness. Releasing your hands, bending your knees a little more, and slowly and gently rolling yourself up. Keeping your chin tucked until you're feeling stable, and then letting your shoulders just roll down your back. Taking a moment here, standing in mountain pose, stacking everything up, so knees above ankles, hips above knees, shoulders and ears above hips. Closing your eyes, feeling your feet nice and firmly on the floor. And then on your next inhale, let's reach the arms all the way up towards the ceiling. Bringing the palms together and then letting them float back down to your heart center. Coming back to that love, that joy. Breathing into your hands. Maybe setting an intention for your practice or for your day. And when you have that, let's reach the arms all the way back up towards the ceiling. We're going to take hold of the left wrist and slowly coming over towards the right, keeping both feet nice and solid on the floor. Breathing into that space. And then coming back to center, let's switch hands. So taking hold of the right hand, lifting it up and over towards the left. Again, both feet nice and solid. And then coming back to center, let's let the arms float nice and slowly down. Taking hold of those hands behind us. And then pulling the fists down towards the floor so your chest is opening up. Breathing into that heart space. And then we'll slowly bend over the hips, maybe bending your knees a little bit here as you bring the fists up towards the ceiling. head down towards the mat. And then release your hands back to the floor. Let's bend the knees and roll back up, nice and slow. Coming back into mountain pose. And we'll do that one again. Let's inhale, reaching up, this time taking hold of your right wrist and coming over to the left. And then back to center, taking hold of the left wrist, and coming over to the right. And back to center, letting those arms float back down behind you. Grabbing hold of the fists and pulling them down, squeezing the shoulders, maybe get a crack out of your chest if you have one in there. And then slowly hinging over the hips. Fists up towards the ceiling, head down towards the mat. Then releasing your hands back to the floor. Let's stretch the right leg out. We're going to come into a low lunge. So sinking into your hips. Hips, we hold a lot of stuck emotions in those hips. So letting them sink down towards the floor, getting a nice stretch. If you find you need to move that back knee back a little bit, just to get an even deeper stretch, go for it. Making sure your left ankle's underneath your left knee. And then we'll just walk the fingers back and straighten out that left leg. Let's bring the nose down towards your knee. Stretching out those hamstrings. Releasing the need to control everything. And then walking your hands forward, let's take our back toe, curl it under, and then rocking forward again. Coming into our forward fold, maybe noticing you're a little deeper this time. We'll come halfway up and then lowering back down. Let's take the left leg back, knee to the mat, sinking into our low lunge on this side. A breath or two as those hips release. Noticing where you're holding any tension, any frustration, any anger. And then slowly releasing, letting those hands come back. Right leg straightens, nose towards your knee. And then walking your hands forward. Let's curl the back toe, lift that knee and rock it forward. Folding again over your hips. Bend your knees and slowly bring yourself back up. Beautiful, letting your shoulders roll back down. So we're going to release some heavy emotions. So if you're feeling the anger, the frustration, can't quite get to the sadness, we're going to release it with releasing the venom. And so getting yourself comfortable, your feet are a little bit further than hip width apart, your knees are nice and loose. We're going to reach up, grab anything that might be holding you back from joy. We're going to take it off our shoulders and we're going to throw it down with a big ha! We're going to do it 10 times. Ha! Making sure you don't get too dizzy. Ha! If you're feeling dizzy, you can ha! Stay in a forward fold. Ha! Just letting go ha! Of anything that's no longer ha! Serving you. Ha! Ha! Beautiful. Ha! The louder, the better. Ha! Ha! And we'll do 2 more. Ha! Last one. Let's just hang out. Ha! Over our hips. Shaking our shoulders, releasing any of those last monkeys off your back. And then slowly bend your knees and making sure you really keep your chin tucked until you are standing. Letting your shoulders roll back and down. Taking a moment, closing your eyes. Feeling all that energy flowing through you. Feeling a little lighter, hopefully. And we're going to take our feet nice and wide on your mat. So having your feet parallel to each other. You're going to reach the arms out like a 5-pointed star, shining bright like one of those beautiful stars in the sky. And then taking your hands behind you, grabbing hold of those fists again. Let's pull the fists towards the floor, breathing into the chest, into your heart. And then we'll slowly hinge over, bringing the fists up towards the ceiling. Letting your head hang down towards the mat. And then releasing your hands down to the floor. Let's just walk our hands over to the right ankle, bringing our nose down towards your knee. Breathing here. And then coming back to center, and let's go over to the other side. And then coming back to center, placing your left hand in the middle of the mat, right hand on top. You're going to reach the right arm up towards the ceiling, taking a breath here. And then as you exhale, bringing your hand back down. Let's take a breath here, getting nice and long in our spine. And then as you exhale, left arm reaching up towards the ceiling. Breathing in here. And then exhale, bringing your hand back down. Taking a breath, we'll move on our exhale, going back and forth with your rhythm. Beautiful. Let's do one more on each side. Lovely. Coming back to center, just letting your head hang down, shaking it, getting rid of any tension from your neck and shoulders. And then we'll heel toe our feet in so they're maybe shoulder width apart, and we're going to wiggle our hips back down into a little squat. If that works for you, you can have your heels off the floor, or if your feet will touch the floor, fantastic. You can bring your hands to your heart, maybe taking a few moments. Remember, we hold all those heavy emotions in our hips, so letting those hips release and relax. Nice. And let's ease our way all the way back down to the floor. We're going to take our legs and stretch them out in front of us. Give them a little shake. So sitting up in our staff pose, so shoulders can roll up to your ears and then rolling back down. Closing your eyes and just noticing where you might be holding. Noticing where there might be some resistance and letting go. And allowing those parts to soften. Beautiful. And then we'll slowly move forward. Coming into a forward fold. Wherever your hands are, just let them hang out there. Taking a few moments to breathe here, releasing, maybe going a little bit deeper. And then slowly making your way back up. Let's bring the right leg in and crossing it over the left. So you're sitting up nice and tall. We'll come into a little spinal twist here, taking the left arm around the right knee so you're hugging it in. Right arm reaching up and setting it down behind you. Looking over the right shoulder. So bringing up anything, the heavy emotion to the light of the heart. Allowing it to be released or transformed into joy. And then slowly unwind. Let's do the other side, stretching that right leg out. We'll bring the left leg in, crossing it over, sitting up nice and tall, bringing the right arm around the left knee, hugging it in. Left arm can come up and setting down behind you as you look over the left shoulder. Again, just bringing any heaviness up to the light of the heart. And then slowly unwind. Let's bring our feet together, little butterfly pose. Letting your knees flutter like those little butterflies that are free and joyful. Maybe taking a moment to connect with your foundation, connect with your feet, and give them a little massage, helping you to feel grounded, knowing that everything is as it should be. And then we'll wrap our fingers around the toes. You can even take your feet out a little bit, and we'll let our nose come down, letting your head relax. Breathing all the way up the back body. And letting go. And then slowly bringing yourself back up. Let's bring the knees up and we'll ease our way back down onto the mat with your knees bent. Setting yourself up so your spine is nice and long. Maybe lift your hips and set them back down. And taking your knees, letting them rest in on each other. We're going to bring our arms up to the ceiling, crossing the right elbow over the left and giving yourself a beautiful, loving hug here. Closing your eyes and knowing that you are loved. And then releasing your arms, let's switch our elbows so that we can bring our arms back down for another glorious hug. And bringing your arms back up. We're going to take hold of the right knee, pulling it in towards our chest and stretch the left leg out. Maybe pointing and flexing your feet. And then setting your left foot on the floor, we're going to take hold of that right knee with our left hand, maybe setting your right foot on the top of your left thigh. You're going to come into a spinal twist so your right hand can stretch out. And then letting that left knee float down towards the left, or the right knee float down towards the left. So make sure this right shoulder stays on the mat. So you might find your knee doesn't quite touch the floor, and that's okay. Look over towards the right, breathing all the way down the length of your spine. With each exhalation, maybe finding yourself going a little bit deeper, releasing a little bit more. And then slowly allowing that right knee to come back to center. We'll bring both knees in for a hug, maybe rocking from side to side. And then keeping your left knee in, let's stretch the right leg out, pointing your toes, this time making some circles with your ankles. Going one way and then the other. And then resting that right leg down on the mat. We'll take hold of the left knee with our right hand. Left arm can stretch out. And then slowly allowing that left knee to float down to the right. Again, making sure that your left shoulder stays resting on the floor. Breathing all the way down the length of your spine. Allowing your back to release, allowing any heavy emotion to come to the light of the heart. Beautiful. And then we'll release the leg. Let's come back to center. Bringing our hands underneath or by our sides, bringing both knees in. We're going to let the heels reach up towards the ceiling and just coming into a little legs up towards the ceiling pose here. If you're near a wall, you can bring your legs up the wall. And closing your eyes, maybe letting your palms face up towards the ceiling. Maybe imagine your feet are the top of a waterfall. Imagine that water flowing down to your heart, washing away any negative feelings, washing away any sadness, any grief. And then maybe pointing your toes. Let's bring the knees in for another beautiful hug, rocking from side to side. Maybe even taking a hand on each knee, making some circles, might feel good for your lower back. And then coming back around, moving in the other direction. And then we'll just roll to our sides, coming back up into a comfortable seated position. So if your legs are out straight or crossed, whatever feels right for you, just getting yourself comfortable, getting your spine nice and long. I'm going to close our eyes here, allowing your shoulders to relax. Checking in to see how you're feeling in this moment. Maybe you'll notice a little bit more lightness. Noticing all that energy flowing through your body. And while you're here, I'd like to share a quote by Pema Chodron. If we can train ourselves through meditation to be more open and more accepting towards the wild arc of our experience, if we can lean into the difficulties of life and the ride of our minds, we can become more settled and relaxed amid whatever life brings us. Great quote to keep in mind as we go through these uncertain times. Let's all bring our hands together at our heart center, taking a collective breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Beautiful. From my heart to yours, namaste.